Chapter 53. Academy Days Part 12. Azuki and Shohei. Hataka household. At 8 months pregnant, now's an important period for Anko. It's been becoming increasingly difficult for her to continue her daily life as much as she's tried not to let it affect her. She was warned, of course, that she needs to rest more, but resting means more time to worry, and worry is not something she's really done in a long time. However, the time has come where she has no choice. If this baby is to come out good and healthy, she's got to listen to the medics. Thankfully, she's had help in warding the boredom away. Thanks for coming so often. Anko grunts as she tries to stand up to fetch the coffee from the pot. Kurenai stops her and goes to do it herself. No need for thanks. I know all too well what this time is like, so I figured you'd need support. Or someone to talk to, at the very least. She chuckles. Yeah, well, I'm thankful, anyway. Who knew having a baby took this much effort? Anko raises her feet on a stool, getting into a comfier position. Can't even get my guest coffee. Plenty of women know, Anko. Kurenai takes a cup from one of the cupboards and sips herself some coffee. Don't tell me you came into this thinking it'd be easy. I could have told you otherwise. Not like we really planned for it to happen, you know. It just happened. She tries to look behind the couch to the kitchen where Kurenai is, but realizes it'd require too much movement for now. I noticed. You got pregnant before anyone could even process you two are an item. Kurenai walks back to the table, cup of coffee in hand. Anko winces. Was it really that fast, I suppose? Then again, I've never known you as someone to take things slow. I just didn't think that would also translate to. Kurenai gestures to her belly. This. Anko sighs and leans her head back. I rushed into it, didn't I? Got too involved too quick, and now there's no time to second guess. Kurenai raises a brow. Are you second guessing? Do you and Kakashi not want a baby? Yes. I mean no. I mean. We both want it, just. Maybe we should have waited. We barely even knew what our relationship was before it got to the baby part. We'd never even been in a serious relationship before all this. Anko runs her hands across her face and groans. Hey. Kurenai moves to sit closer to her, taking her hand for comfort. You can't let yourself get trapped in that mindset. It's not going to help you nor Kakashi nor little Azuki. When you see her cute face and little fingers, it'll all wash away, I promise. Anko smiles. Maybe. Is that how it was for you? More or less. I was so worried about what I'd do without Asuma, but with the help of Tasaku, Shikamaru, and even Konohamaru, I wasn't as lost as I thought I'd be. I'm sure it'll be the same with you. You'll see all your worries were for nothing. I know both you and Kakashi, and I know you'll be amazing parents together. Oh, honey, we'll be the best. Anko laughs. Kakashi's been way different than the person we all know him as. More open about himself, more gentle, more attentive to other people's needs and wants. That sounds great. Kurenai smiles. So I had to slap him around to tell him to knock it off. Why? Kurenai has to heavily restrain herself from smacking a pregnant woman over the head. Cause it was really freaky. Felt like I was cheating with some guy disguised as Kakashi. Anko shudders. Every woman's dream come true and you punish him for it. Kurenai shakes her head. I feel sorry for Kakashi. Truly. Speaking of, where is he? Out on Jonin Commander business somewhere. Fixing team assignments, checking rotations, barking orders. She snorts. Get it? Barking, because of the dogs, yeah, I got it. Kurenai says dryly. Ah, where's your sense of humor? Anko playfully smacks her on the shoulder and begins the difficult progress of getting up to her feet. Anko, sit down. I'll get whatever you need. No chance. With a lot of pained groans, Anko gets up to her feet and goes to the kitchen to get herself some coffee. Kurenai sighs. I was literally just there, Anko, you could have told me you wanted a cup, too. I'm not entirely defenseless just yet, can get my own damn cup. If I'm going to come here, at least let me help you a little. Kurenai resigns herself. There's just no winning with this woman. She nestles into the sofa with her coffee, ready for a movie marathon. What better way to stave off boredom than to glue your eyes to a TV set and escape reality? A total of 5 Princess Gale movies to go through for about over 10 hours of watch time. This is going to be quite the long day. As she grabs the remote control for the TV, a crash from the kitchen immediately sends her to her feet. What happened? She quickly turns around and makes her way there to check up on Anko. Inside, she finds her friend fallen to her knees in front of a broken cup of coffee, holding her stomach and groaning in pain. Anko tries to grab onto the counter to steady herself, but only ends up slipping to her side. Kurenai rushes over to her to help her up to her feet. What happened? It's only then that she notices the tiles under her are drenched in water. Her eyes widen in shock as the realization dawns on her. Anko, you're Uzumaki household. With Kurenai wanting to spend the day with Anko, that left young Mirai needing a babysitter or babysitters in this case. Hinata was more than happy to volunteer for the task, being free from her ambassadorial duties. She'd wanted to spend more time with the toddler anyway, so this proved a good opportunity for it. Recently there's been something nudging her at the back of her mind. A sense of yearning, something she wants more than anything. Maybe it hasn't been entirely recent. Maybe it started nudging her nearly 2 years ago when Katori came into their lives, the desire for a family. It didn't really stick with her before, since they had to focus on performing missions for other villages. They had a job to do on top of learning how to be a somewhat odd family of 3. Now, however, they're home. They're still busy, but their feet are more firmly planted, and she has more time to think about their situation of living together, despite only dating and having a daughter who's old enough to be their sister more than anything. Of course, she's happy with their situation and loves Katori as a daughter with all her heart, but having the time to consider her future, and especially seeing Shizune, Anko, and even their once enemy Guren pregnant. A part of her is longing for that, too. A full family picture. Her volunteering to babysit was also for a somewhat selfish reason. She wanted to experience caring for a child, even if only for a day. It's nowhere near enough for anyone to get a clearer picture as to whether they're ready, and she's fully aware of that, but it's still something she wants to do for herself. She might owe Kurenai an apology later. Still, a day of just her and Mirai was the plan. Or, that was the plan. As it turns out, Naruto has an off day today, as does Katori. Right now, Naruto is very awkwardly holding Mirai and carrying her around the room so she can get a closer look at all the high places. Katori's walking with him with a clearly worried expression. You're holding her wrong, she'll fall. She won't fall, I have quick reflexes, you know. Naruto reassures her. Katori puffs out her cheeks and holds up her arms. Gim. Naruto sighs and lowers Mirai so Katori can hold her. What's got you so huffy, anyway? Toddler's skin is soft, it bruises easily. She adjusts Mirai to sit more comfortably against her chest. Honestly, it's a good thing I was old enough to take care of myself when you adopted me. She sighs. Oi. Naruto lets out a hurt complaint. Mirai whines and holds her arms up. Wanna go up? Naruto flashes a playful grin. See, she doesn't wanna be with you, shorty. Hinata giggles and walks over to them. No fighting in front of Mirai. She leans down to brush the little girl's hair. What do you want, Mirai? Mirai points up to one of the smaller shelves, which some might find odd has only a single book. The Tale of the Utterly Gutsy Shinobi, placed on it and not much else besides a singular blue origami flower. Wanna read story? Mama reads lots of stories. Naruto takes the book off its shelf. This one, huh, you got really good taste, Mirai. This one's my favorite. Naruto sits on the ground, pressing his back against a sofa. The character's really awesome. I suppose the character's name has nothing to do with that? Hinata teases. Naruto sticks out his tongue. Maybe. Katori and Hinata sit down on both his sides, with Katori placing little Mirai on her lap to see the book. Hinata locks her arms with Naruto's and leans her head on his shoulder. Katori leans forward and looks them over. You two aren't gonna get weird in front of Mirai, right? Hinata's face turns beet red. Oh, of course not. Why would you say such a thing? She hides a bit behind Naruto's larger form. Just making sure. Katori chuckles. Naruto flicks her ear. Cheeky lil brat, ain't ya? Just as they're about to sit down for Naruto to read a book that's honestly probably not for a 2-year-old, although certain parts can be skipped, the portable radio switches on. Similar to the kinds they use on missions, these ones are mostly for personal use, and in this case, was for Hinata to contact Kurenai in case something happens with Mirai and Mama Bear needs to rush over. What she wasn't expecting was for Kurenai to check in on them this early on. Hinata, are you there? Kurenai's voice comes through. Hinata gets up and answers. I'm here, sensei. Do you need something? I know it's a long shot, but can you find Kakashi? Kurenai sounds off, and it's not the statusy radio, she sounds like she's been running. I don't know. I can try to look for him with my Byakugan, but it's a long shot. Why, what happened? By this point, Naruto has stood up, slightly concerned that she's asking for his sensei with such an urgency to her voice. It's Anko. She's going into labor, we need to tell Kakashi. What? Hinata squeezes onto the radio and holds it closer to her face. Are you sure? Isn't it far too early? I'm sure. Can you find Kakashi? She repeats. Naruto presses the button to respond. I can. Naruto? Good. Tell him I'm taking her to the hospital right now. Naruto sits down on the carpet, crossing his legs and bringing his hands together, remaining perfectly still. Mirai tries to break away from Katori to go to him but is stopped. No, Mirai. Uncle Naruto needs to focus. Katori brushes her hair. I can focus, too. Mirai affirms and tries to copy Naruto's pose. She's less than successful. Katori giggles. I'm sure you can. After a few moments of silence, Naruto gathers all the natural energy he needs and enters Sage mode. He doesn't move from his position and instead focuses even more, wading through all the chakra signatures within his reach to find a specific one. When he does, he jumps up to his feet, found him, and heads for the door. Wait, I'm coming with you. Hinata begins to follow but stops in her tracks when she remembers one very important detail. Mirai. She looks back to the toddler, in a clear bind. I can look after her. Katori says. I looked after a lot in the orphanage, I know how. Hinata bites her lip in frustration. No, I promised Kurenai-sensei I'd take care of Mirai today. I can't leave that Naruto, go. Naruto nods. Deciding this is urgent enough to require as fast a speed as possible, he enters with chakra mode, his entire body instantly lighting up with orange chakra. I'll call you over the radio. And with that, she disappears in a flash. Hidden Leaf Hospital Labor Ward. Today is both a joyous and stressful day for the medical staff. While there's more than enough work to go around, everyone is eager to receive news from the labor ward, where currently Shizune is giving birth. She's trained many of the staff here, and even the ones who were already part of the medical unit, she helped their skills grow exponentially. There's no doubt that Shizune is the most beloved person in this hospital, so they all want to know that everything is going well. Inside the labor ward itself, Sanada, Sakura, and a handful of the best medics around are tending to Shizune. She's lying on the bed, legs spread with Iruka standing right beside her, having his hand squeezed into paste. Shizune lets out a guttural scream that resonates through the corridors outside. You're doing great, Shizune. Sanada talks her through the process. Keep at it. Sakura checks one of the machines from which jutsu formulae spread onto the bed the mothers lie in. A sheet of paper is constantly being printed, with new information on the subject being added, monitoring vitals and overall condition. All's clear, Lady Tsunade. Sakura informs. Tsunade nods in affirmation before turning her attention back to her ward. All right, I need you to push. I've been doing nothing but push. Shizune yells. Iruka leans down and holds her hand up to his chest. Just a little more, dear. You got this. Shizune yanks him closer, still holding him in a death grip. I don't need fake encouragement right now, Iruka. She lets out another scream. The doors to the room swing open, a medic hurriedly bursting through. Lady Tsunade. The Hokage clicks her tongue. What part of "don't disturb me under any circumstance" did not stick with you? But, my lady, the man tries to explain. It's Anko Mitarashi. She's giving birth. What? How? She's only in her 8th month. Tsunade feels like hitting something in frustration, but nothing hittable is really around. Damn it, Anko, you have the worst timing. My lady. Sakura places her hands on her robes, ready to untie them. With your permission. Go. Tsukiri, Io, you're with her. Get whoever else is around. Yes, ma'am. A larger man, Io, and a much shorter woman, Tsukiri, head for the door. The three of them take off their robes and place them in a basket just outside of the room. Everything they were wearing inside is to be changed, sterilized, they themselves are to be sterilized. That involves heavily a lot of water and a lot of soap, and only then can they leave to go to where Anko was taken. Then, they need to repeat the sterilization process and don their new robes. They try to do this as quickly as they possibly can so they can get to their patient. Hidden Leaf. Two flashes of orange zoom over the people walking through the streets, fast enough to generate wind that blows away anything light enough and not held down in place. No one is able to see these two shapes in time or recognize what they are. And what they are Naruto Uzumaki, still in his chakra mode, and Kakashi Hatake, his flak jacket glowing orange just like Naruto's entire self, while a layer of orange chakra surrounds his body. Kakashi clenches his fist. This time, I can't be late no matter what. Obito, Rin, watch over them. Hidden Leaf Hospital waiting room. 5 hours later. Naruto paces in a circle, following the same steps he has for an annoyingly long time now. He's biting his finger and muttering incomprehensibly. When he passes by the bench, Kurenai grabs his sleeve. Naruto, would you please sit down? You're giving me a headache. But what's taking them so long? What if something went wrong and they don't want to tell us? Naruto fears the worst. Somehow he's more nervous right now than when his life is at stake. If something was wrong, we'd have heard about, and this is how deliveries usually go. Mine was even longer. Kurenai tugs him to finally sit down. He lets himself be pulled and decides to try following the sensei's advice. Of course, he still worries so his leg starts twitching, but that's quickly put an end to when Kurenai places a hand on his knee to stop it from moving. Sorry. Naruto rubs the back of his head in embarrassment. I did not take you for a warrior, I have to say. Kurenai chuckles. I guess. It's an important day, you know? Both Iruka-sensei and Kakashi-sensei are becoming dads. On the same day. I suppose those two do mean a lot to you, huh? Kurenai leans back in her seat. But that's all the more reason to keep your cool and be there for them, okay? Right. He nods firmly. Sensei. They both whip around at Hinata's voice coming down the corridor. A while ago Kurenai called through the radio to tell her to come here with Mirai. She heard from Naruto, and she had plenty of time to talk with Naruto, that she'd been firm and staying home to look after Mirai. Not wanting to keep the girl cooped up while Naruto is out here worrying, she called her over. Mama. Mirai runs over to Kurenai, with Katori following close behind to make sure she doesn't fall. Kurenai leans down and picks up her daughter. Hey, honey. Did you have fun? Yep. Mirai nods. We read really books. Oh? You can tell me all about them. Kurenai smiles. Are you sure about this, Kurenai-sensei? Hinata worries as she usually does. I'm sure. Besides, I think he needs taking care of more than Mirai. She points to Naruto. Hey. Naruto protests. Hinata chuckles and sits down next to her boyfriend. I'm sure he does. So, are they here yet? Katori looks at the large door they're waiting in front of. Not yet. For the next hour, Mirai was starting to get a bit agitated, so Kurenai had to take a few long walks to get her to calm down a bit. Besides that, the group awaits patiently for news about the mothers and the babies. It thankfully doesn't take long before someone comes to them. Sakura takes off her mask and flashes the largest grin she's ever grinned. You can come see them now. Lying in two beds, side to side, Shizune and Anko hold their children. Wrapped up in soft blankets, the two babies stir between consciousness and sleep, neither side taking the definitive win. Both of them are tired, exhausted, and fatigued, but seeing their kids' faces just washes all of that away. Iruka is sitting by Shizune's pillow, not at all concerned about the waterfalls streaming from his eyes. He brings his finger closer to his son's smooshy face. The newborn reaches out with his tiny finger and tries to grab on. Iruka laughs. Careful you don't inherit your mom's death grip. Shizune winces. Sorry about that. He shakes his head. It's fine. I can't even imagine what it must have been like. Can I? He holds out both hands toward their son. Shizune smiles and lifts the baby so Iruka can take him. He gently wraps his arms around him and holds him close. Hello Shohei. He leans down to kiss him on the forehead. On the neighboring bed, Anko looks up to Kakashi who's standing by the bed. Do you want to hold Azuki? I'm afraid to. Kakashi admits. Anko raises a brow. Afraid? What does Kakashi Hataka have to be afraid of? That I'll drop her? That she won't want me? He takes a small step back, his uncertainty getting the better of him. That? I won't be a good father. You idiot. Anko herself had very similar thoughts just earlier that day, but somehow hearing them from a person who's normally so sure of himself like Kakashi makes it seem like a foolish fear. Maybe Kurenai felt the same way when she had to listen. Anko grabs him by the hem of the shift and pulls him closer. Get over here, kiss your wife, and hold your daughter. We're gonna raise the best damn kid this village has seen, got that? Kakashi laughs. Yes ma'am. He pulls down his mask to do just as instructed. He sits down by her side and kisses her warmly. With still a slight hint of worry, he takes Azuki in his shaking arms and smiles up to his ears when her eyes meet his. Hey. The two new families have only a moment more to themselves before the room fills with people. Sakura leads them in with Naruto walking right behind her. The two recoil in shock and terror when they see their maskless sensei, needing to prop themselves against the wall. Ah, he has a face. They couldn't have said it in better unison if they'd rehearsed it. Shizune immediately shushes them both. Don't yell around babies, you know this, Sakura. Ah, sorry. She lets out an apologetic whisper. Who has a face? Kurenai walks in with Mirai in her arms. She looks around to see where they're. Of course he has a face, what are you talking about? Hinata enters last with Katori, who who runs over to gush over the cute babies, first going to Iruka and stepping on her toes to get a better look. Iruka lowers Shohei slightly, so the poor girl doesn't have to strain herself too much. Naruto takes one careful step at a time toward Iruka, not wanting to get on Shizune's bad side again. He goes next to Iruka, and the moment he sees little Shohei, the widest of smiles shines across his face. "This is Shohei?" "It is." Iruka holds him up. "Would you like to hold him?" Naruto nods stiffly. "Yeah." With slow movements, Naruto takes Shohei in his arms, using his arm as a rest and holding his tiny head up with his free hand. Katori was about to correct him, but he seemed to figure out how to do it on the first try. "He's so small," Naruto whispers, afraid of stirring him awake. Shizune smiles at how gentle and peaceful they're being. "He'll grow big before we know it." Meanwhile, Kurenai walks over to Anko and Kakashi. "Congratulations," she says with a bright smile. "Thank you." Kakashi bows his head lightly. "And thank you for getting her here in time. I was in a rush before, so I couldn't properly express it." Kurenai chuckles. "That's fine." Mirai walks up to Kakashi and holds up her hands as high as she can. "Can I see?" "Can I?" "Of course." Kakashi kneels down to let Mirai see her junior. Hinata kneels down with them. "You were this small, too, Mirai." The toddler looks up in awe. "Really? Kakashi-sensei, may I?" Hinata reaches over asking for permission to hold Azuki. "Of course." He hands the baby over to her, who's more than familiar enough with how to properly hold a newborn. Naruto grins and walks over, bringing the two babies closer. "Shohei, have you met Azuki yet? You two are gonna be best friends, right?" "They're gonna be more than that." Anko laughs. "I'll personally chase away any girl that comes near Shohei. Only Azuki is the right girl for him. Don't go deciding that on your own." Shizune chastises her. A much lighter mood fills the air as laughter fills the room. The joy of a new life coming into the world, the joy of people you care deeply about finding love and being there for each other. As Naruto holds Shohei and as he watches Hinata hold Azuki, a warmth fills his heart and a burning desire for something more. If he feels like this when his sensei become fathers, then what will it be like to be one himself? For a brief moment, his world consists of only them two holding the babies, and he can't think of anything that would make him happier. "All right, everyone." Sakura lightly claps her hands, just enough to grab everyone's attention. "I need to take those babies for their checkups, and the mothers need to rest." She takes the babies off Naruto and Hinata's hands and lays them down in a special cart made just for wheeling newborns around the hospital. Uzumaki residence. Rather than heading home, Katori made it her top priority to head right for Yakimaru and Shoto to tell them about everything that happened today and the absolute whirlpool of emotions they went through. That left Naruto and Hinata alone for the moment. Closing the front door, Naruto leans back, his mind racing through everything that happened. He can still feel Shohei's body on his arm, the sensation of holding a new life in your hands. It was such a scary notion that something that small and defenseless could exist, but at the same time, it felt right. Hinata has the same train of thought running through her mind. She got as far as to leave her vest on the sofa when she began thinking about how much happiness filled her soul while holding the newborn. Everything she felt before has been reaffirmed. She no longer has any doubt about wanting a family of her own. She straightens her back and takes a deep breath, needing a moment to get back to her senses. Before she can, Naruto walks up to her and wraps his arms around her, pressing her body against his as much as he can. "Naruto?" She looks up to him in confusion. He presses his forehead against hers. "You know, when we were in there." Even though it was a big moment for Kakashi-sensei and Iruka-sensei, all I could think about was myself. "In what way?" She raises a brow. "It's like, I was just thinking, wow, this feels right, you know? I didn't want to let go and just wanted to stay like that with you." Hinata pulls herself away from the hug and turns around to face him. "Naruto, what are you saying?" "I'm saying." He gently cups her face and brings himself closer again, this time looking her directly in the eyes. "I want us to be a family, officially. I want us to have kids of our own, to grow old together. So, will you marry me, Hinata?" She's barely able to contain her excitement, tears rolling down her cheeks. "Yes, of course." "Ah, if Ino asks, could you not tell her I asked you in the living room?" Hinata giggles. "Sure." End of chapter 53. Trivia. The original plan was for a heavily pregnant Shizune to deliver Anko's baby before herself going into labor, kind of to show off how badass Shizune is. Thinking on it a bit more, it didn't make sense to me that Sanada and or Sakura wouldn't be around to do it since they're both heavily invested in these pregnancies. Chapter 54. Academy Days Part 13. Family. Yakiniku Q. It's been some 2 years by this point. 2 years ago in this very restaurant, 11 classmates and friends held a dinner together to celebrate their future and to send off 2 of their friends who would set off on an over-year-long journey. Today, they're back here once more to celebrate the future. Their lives had gotten busier since then, with everyone becoming more and more respected and more well-known in their respective fields. It was difficult to get everyone together in one place, but they finally managed, thanks largely to Ino getting in everyone's business about it. Ino stands up proud and looks over the table with all her friends gathered in one place and declares, "We need to get gifts to Azuki and Shohei." "Do we really need to be in the same place for that?" Shikamaru asks. "Probably not." Ino shrugs. "But we also have another special occasion to celebrate." She motions to Naruto and Hinata, who look around, cheeks red with embarrassment. "Our newly engaged sweethearts." She gives a round of applause that everyone joins in on. Sakura playfully punches Naruto on the shoulder. "Congratulations, you two." Sai smiles. "I hope you produce healthy offspring." He takes pause when he gets a room's worth of weirded out looks. "Is that not the proper thing to say?" Sakura sighs. "We'll work on that." She pats him on the shoulder. "First things first, though. What do we do for Azuki and Shohei? Iruka-sensei taught us for as long as we've been shinobi, we owe him a lot, and Kakashi-sensei's been there for us in more ways than one. I'm not sure why I'm here, though." Tamari speaks. "I'm sure they're good people, but I barely even know them. I respect Kakashi as much as any shinobi does, but that's about it." Karen raises a hand. "I'm having the same doubts, honestly. Not sure I even belong here." Jugo calmly drinks his water. "I think a gesture of goodwill wouldn't hurt. You don't have to if you're not really feeling." Ino explains. "Not forcing anyone into anything, just throwing out some thoughts. And besides, you two," she points to Karen and Jugo, "are part of our little family now thanks to Naruto, whether you like it or not. And you," she points to Tamari, "are a part of it since you're dating Shikamaru." Tamari freezes in place. Shikamaru spits out his drink and pounds his chest, trying to get his breathing back in order after the drink went down the wrong throat. How do you know?" Tamari slams the table, demanding an answer. Ino smirks. "I know everything." "Wait, really?" Choji smacks Shikamaru on the back. "Who would thunk?" Kiba laughs. "You two? But you two are like oil and water." He's quickly silenced by Tamari's deathglare. "Come on, they're absolutely adorable together." Ino giggles. "Ino." Tamari growls. "Our next step will be to invite Yakumo." She sends a cheeky grin Sai's way. "Yakumo Kurama?" Sai cocks his head in confusion. "We could if you wish." "Oh, don't play coy with us, Sai, I know you two are a thing." Kiba joins in on the teasing. "We saw you two together out and about, buddy, you don't have to hide it. It's entirely possible you've seen us. We share the same hobby, so we've gotten to painting together." Sai explains. "I'm sure you have. You sure do love gossiping left and right, huh?" Tamari stands up to look Ino face to face, which means that Shikamaru right now is stuck between two very explosive personalities. "And yet you somehow kept your mouth shut about Naruto proposing, even though you were the first to know." "Well, yeah, that's because Hinata's too nice, I can't gossip about her." Ino gestures to the demure Kunoichi, who tries her best to shrink in her seat. "But enough about that. Let's get to, I wonder why," Shino interrupts, "you make it a point to reveal the relationships of people who don't want them revealed, yet you make no mention of my girlfriend or inviting her to our gathering." Everyone directs stunned expressions at him. "He has a girlfriend?" Ino glares down at Kiba. "Why didn't you tell me he has a girlfriend?" Even with just her eyes, she conveys her thoughts clear as day. "I didn't know." Kiba answers with a violent shaking of his head. "Surely you've told Ino, Kiba. After all, you did meet her." Shino adds. "When?" Kiba screams internally. "Ah, well. You know, I thought you'd want to tell us yourself. So." "I didn't tell Ino, you know what a chatterbox she is." He laughs, trying to play it off. Shino turns his toward Kiba, growing more and more unconvinced. "I'll get you for this." Ino discreetly kick his leg. "Look, I'm trying to cover my ass, okay?" Shikamaru jumps in to get the situation under control. Now, since we all now are on the same page and you told us, we'd love to meet her, Shino. You already have." Shino turns to Shikamaru. "Why you ask?" That's because you two have worked closely with each other. Shit. Shikamaru curses while trying to keep his outwardly calm. Someone I work with? Someone I know? Has anyone mentioned Shino at work? Shikamaru, you better turn that dumb brain of yours into overdrive. Ino converies through eye contact. Think. Shikamaru's mind goes through every single social interaction he's had, every conversation he's had, every photo he's been shown, every person he's passed. Think faster. In a matter of seconds, he goes through days' worth of information, putting together places to people and people to words. Shino grows frustrated, visible even under his sunglasses. At the peak of mental exhaustion, an image flashes before his eyes. A woman. Her hair turns sandy blonde. A white coat appears on her. Her face isn't clear. Why? Oh, because it's hidden. Behind large glasses. There she is, in the cryptanalysis lab. Right, yes. Shikamaru laughs. Shohei's always mentioning you. She seems really happy. Everyone shares a puzzled look. Who's Shohei? Shino nods. I like to think so, too. You've probably noticed me smiling more. After all, we are friends, right? Kiba pats Shino on the back. Yeah, of course, man. I could tell right away when we met each other before. He laughs, trying to distract from his forgetfulness. Man, we really should get Shohei in our gathering. That'd be nice. Shino returns to his drink, satisfied that his friends are aware. Would, Shohei want to join in getting a gift for the babies? Ino asks. Shino thinks for a moment. I'll ask her. Okay, good. Well, then. This conversation took a very surprising detour. Do we have any ideas? Karen raises a brow. Did you drag everyone here without anything prepared? Well, I figured we could just throw around ideas. Maybe we can all pitch in for something together or we all buy separate things. But I figured it'd be nice to present it all together, you know? Naruto scratches his chin. I think I might have a gift for Azuki, but I'm kinda blanking on something for Shohei. Lee pumps his fist. How about weights to train with? It's gonna take a while before they can even use them. Tenten reminds him. It should be something more useful for the babies. Anko and Shizune could use them, too. Lee adds. So they can stay in shape while not on active duty. Ino winces. Yeah, that's gonna be a no on the weights. Last thing you want to remind new moms is they're out of shape. Tenten face palms. Honestly, this is why men are so. How about clothes and toys? Hinata chimes in. We can buy them lots of cute outfits. Sakura nudges her with an elbow. Sure sound eager to buy baby clothes. At least wait for the wedding first. She can't help but laugh at Hinata's face immediately reddening, even if it made her feel bad for teasing. Sorry. Shino adjusts his glasses. Surely they've taken into consideration the need for clothing. Yeah, but babies grow up real fast, yeah? A light bulb switches in Kiba's head. So we can buy them stuff for when they get older. Hey, that's actually a good idea. Ino chirps. I'm proud of you. She ruffles his hair. Kiba's grin wide enough to show off his pointed teeth. Thanks, I'm pretty. Hey, stop that. He swats her hand away. Choji rubs his goatee. I could get them a supply of Akimichi baby formula. It's way better than the stuff you'd buy at the market. Karen snorts. Is it gonna make them fa? Choji prepares to go into attack mode, but Sakura manages to interrupt Karen before any real damage could be done. Alright, she calls out loudly enough to deafen her friend. We're getting some awesome ideas, right, guys? Everyone audibly agrees, using the noise as a distraction. Sakura leans over behind Sai and whispers to Karen. Don't say that word in front of him. Karen raises a brow. Okay, is it that big of a deal? Oh yeah. Like you wouldn't believe. The rest of the afternoon is spent in discussions on gifts for the newborns, with everyone getting a better idea what to get. They have idle chit-chat about their latest responsibilities, any missions they might have been on, dating life. Naturally, the most questions and talks are directed at the newly engaged couple, the first of their peers to take things to the next step. They don't necessarily drink alcohol, or if they do it's not much, since it's still midday and some still have responsibilities to tend to. There's also shopping to do. When enough drinks and chats have been had, they leave to get to work. On their way home, Choji and Shikamaru take the time to walk home, since their homes are right next to each other. It's been a while since we had time to hang out, huh? Choji reminisces. Yeah, Shikamaru groans. I never would have thought we'd live this kind of life. You are, at least. Personal advisor to the Hokage and now even dating an ambassador? Meanwhile I'm doing the same old missions as always, and I'm alone as always. Choji sighs. Hey, that's not true. Shikamaru pats his friend on the back. You're doing an amazing job as a Jonin leader, you've earned a lot of people's respect. Kakashi's had a lot of people specifically ask for you to join them on missions. Really? Choji perks up. You're not just saying that to cheer me up? You know I'm not that shallow. You're not going unrecognized, Choji, and soon enough someone's going to have their eyes open to what a great guy you are. Choji looks away in embarrassment, unable to hide his wide smile. Thanks, man. When they reach the Akamichi compound, the first stop on their way, they run into Karui just returning home. A weird notion, that. To call a different village's clan's compound home, but it is what it is. This is the life she signed up for when she agreed to represent the Union in the Hidden Leaf. Still unfamiliar sights and surrounding, unfamiliar people, an unfamiliar house. Gone is her usual routines, her friends and colleagues. Part of her wonders if this was the right decision, if maybe she should request someone replace her. Hey Karui. Choji waves to her as they approach. Coming home? She turns around to see them coming from down the street. Yeah, went out for a walk. You two out on a mission or something? Oh, no, we had barbecue with the rest. Choji pats his belly. Bit of a get-together. I see. Karui gives a light smile. Hope it was fun. She turns to open the gates to the compound. Going out with friends, must be nice to be able to do that. Yeah, it sure was. Choji breaks off from Shikamaru and goes toward the gate himself. See you around, Shikamaru. Karui's behavior doesn't escape Shikamaru's observant eye. He noticed similar behavior in Tamari at first, but thinking back on it, that steadily disappeared as the two of them got closer, culminating in Tamari's attempt of setting up a date via threat. Karui's definitely feeling homesick. Karui, Shikamaru grabs their attention before they can enter the Akamichi compound. Why don't you join us next time we're out? Imagine it has to be better than staying cooped up when you don't have union business, right? Karui raises a brow, not certain where the sudden offer is coming from. I mean, sure, if that's fine with you guys, yeah, of course. Choji says. Honestly, I didn't think you'd be interested. He rubs the back of his head. You kinda give off this cool aura. Eh what? Karui can't help but laugh at the thought. I can promise you I have nothing of the sort. So it's decided, then. Shikamaru smiles. We'll see you then. He waves as he walks away to head home. Kakashi and Anko house. Kakashi has been hanging on the baby cot for what feels like hours. He's watching his daughter sleep more closely than he's ever paid attention to anything in his life. You know she's not going anywhere, right? Anko laughs. I know. Kakashi says quietly to not wake up Azuki. Just making sure. Anko wraps her arms around his waist and nestles her chin on his shoulder, looking over the cot. You know, I had so many worries about this, but seeing her made everything click into place. Kakashi places a hand over hers, running his thumb over the back of her palm. Honestly, I was worried, too. I knew I wanted to change who I was, but I wondered if this change was too fast. I didn't even know what I wanted to change to. Anko grows quiet for a moment. And, did you figure it out? Yeah. He turns his head to the side to kiss her on the nose. This is better than anything I could have hoped. Anko returns the gesture with a kiss on the cheek. It'd be even better if we didn't have a guest. I know. Kakashi sighs. Give me a second. Kakashi reluctantly breaks away from Anko and Azuki to go on the balcony. He leans on the railing to feel the refreshing wind on his face. It's such a nice day out. Clear skies, nice weather. Should you be wasting it here, Sasuke? He looks up to the roof where his former student is perched. Sorry. Sasuke leans forward to look him in the eyes. I didn't want to interrupt. There's something I can help you with? Sasuke hops down on the balcony next to Kakashi and holds out a small wrapped present. I just wanted to give you this. As congratulations for, you know, becoming a father. Kakashi raises a brow in surprise. I don't know what to say. Thank you. I figure it's the least I could do to make up. Well, everything. Kakashi shakes his head. You know you don't have to spend your whole life making up for a mistake. Trust me, I know. Yeah. Maybe one day I'll find the need to stop. Sasuke turns around, preparing to leave. I hope you do. Even if you don't, Naruto and Sakura will find it for you. Kakashi smiles under his mask. I know they'll try. Would you like to come in? Kakashi offers. Doesn't feel right to just have someone stop by the window. You can meet Azuki. Sasuke struggles to find the right words. Maybe later. I still have to stop by Iruka's. He pulls out a similarly wrapped second package from under his cloak. The offer will always be open. Kakashi restates. Anko walks up to Kakashi and leans on the balcony doorframe. And hey, if you need someone to shit talk Orochimaru with, I'm your gal. Sasuke lets out a light laugh at the notion. You know, I just might take you up on that. With that he flickers away, leaving Kakashi and Anko to return to their baby girl. Uzumaki compound. Konohamaru crosses his arms. So. Hanabi crosses hers as well. I guess we're gonna be family, huh? Family? Us? Hanabi furrows her brow in disgust. What gave you that silly notion? Whatcha mean, my bro and your sister are gonna get married, right? So my extension. Hanabi sighs. This union is between the Uzumaki and the Hyuga. You, Saratobi, don't factor into it, so feel free to take your leave. Konohamaru clenches his teeth. Our bond goes beyond simple family ties. We're brothers by destiny and choice. Not like I'd expect you to understand when no one wants to be around you. He sneers. Why, you? She takes a heavy step toward him. Always butting in, an elderly voice snaps them from their argument. What's all this, then? They both turn to see Awaji approaching them, slightly hunched over with his hands behind his back. Is it not too early to argue with one another, Elder Awaji? Hanabi bows deeply. I apologize for causing a scene. Sorry, Gramps. Konohamaru lowers his head. Awaji sighs. I understand you're at such an age where you're wont to butt heads, but in your bickering are you perhaps not forgetting the most important thing? They both look up. Forgetting what? Naruto and Hinata. Awaji states. They're entering a very important stage in their lives, and they will need you, both of you, to aid them. Whatever you feel towards each other, they love you both dearly and that's the choice they've made. Do you not think it'd be prudent to add a sense of security to their lives, that their current family will not fall? Konohamaru and Hanabi quickly glance at each other, embarrassed that they've allowed their arguing to get to this point. The elder has a point, as he usually does. Those two deserve to be happy, and they're not exactly helping with that with their actions. If anything, they're making it worse. You're entirely correct, elder. Guess we kinda went overboard. Hanabi straightens her back and turns her full body to Konohamaru. She takes a deep breath and extends a hand. Truce, for them. Konohamaru looks at the offered hand, then up to Hanabi. A test run, if nothing else. He gives a firm handshake. Fine by me. Awaji smiles. Excellent. Hey, guys. Naruto calls out to them. He and Hinata are just returning from Yakiniku Q, hand in hand and in an overly cheerful mood, when they see the three of them standing in the middle of the street. Good day, elder. Hinata bows to Awaji. To you, as well. Awaji bows back. What are you two doing here? Naruto asks the younger shinobi. We, came to hang out. Konohamaru plays it off like everything from 5 minutes prior never happened. That's right. Hanabi reluctantly agrees with him. We thought we could spend some time together before the official dinner. As family. Hinata smiles warmly. That's really kind of you, but I don't know if now's a good time. We're just stopping by for a bit. Heading back out to get gifts for Kakashi-sensei and Iruka-sensei, if you two want to join. Naruto offers. Sure. They both agree in unison. They head back home to get a quick change of clothes and actually get money for the shopping, as they spent what was in their purses on the meal. They take a quick shower, while Konohamaru and Hanabi wait in the living room, trying their best not to argue over what to watch on TV while they do. This particular argument was at least settled by Katori, who they let pick what to watch, so that's a crisis averted and a truce not broken shortly after being established. Katori is very visibly in a good mood, a wide smile on her face. You seem happy, Katori. Hanabi notes. Of course. Katori chirps. Mom and Dad are getting married, so we'll be even more of a family now. All of us. She grins. Konohamaru leans forward and grins back. Yeah, but we're gonna be more family, right? He points between the two of them. Hanabi elbows him. Oi. Don't forget the truce. Katori looks confused. But we're all gonna be the same family, right? We sure are. Naruto chimes in. He and Hinata return with a fresh change of clothes, ready to set off for shopping. Katori hops to her feet and gives them both a big hug. As they all get ready to leave, Naruto stops in his tracks, glancing over at a particular shelf. The gears turn. Naruto? Hinata gently places a hand on his shoulder. I dunno, it just didn't sit right to get Iruka-sensei from the store. He's done a whole lot for me, and I wanted to give him something from me, you know, not from a store. I think I understand how you feel, but do you have an idea? Maybe. He walks over to the singular shelf that has only one book placed on it. He takes the book and traces a finger over the titles. The book that gave him his name, one of the few things he has from his late teacher, and an item of immeasurable wealth to him. It's gotta be something from the heart, you know? I know it's not something useful or practical, but. Hinata walks over behind him and lays her hand on top of his. I think it's perfect. Kakashi and Anko home. Kakashi and Anko weren't expecting much of a day. The baby has practically taken over every second of their lives, either in taking care of her or learning how to take care of her. Every room has a book about child raising, open on various pages where they were needed. They'd read up before, of course, but somehow the knowledge was scared away when it had to actually be applied. With Azuki sound asleep, they decided to take a moment to themselves and enjoy their time at home, seeing as both are now taking parental leave from work. Lying comfortably on the couch, Anko rests her head on his chest as he has his arms tightly wrapped around her. That moment is interrupted by a knock on the door. Expecting someone? She groans at the disturbance, looking up to him. Kakashi looks at the door and sighs. Not this many people. He begrudgingly gets up, puts on his mask, and walks over to the door. He sensed many presences, but even though he knew what to expect, it somehow still comes as a surprise seeing everyone gathered here. The 11 who are taking the world by storm, plus an additional 4 in Tamari, Karui, Karen, and Jugo. Certainly an odd mixture of people. Hello, sensei. They say in unison, or at least the 11 who have a reason to call him that. Well, this is quite the surprise. Kakashi looks over the 15 of them. The group gathered here might just be powerful enough to take over a small nation. I'd invite you in, but I'm afraid I can't really host this many people. And Azuki is sleeping. That's fine. We have to visit Iruka-sensei, too, anyway. Ino assures him. We just wanted to drop these off and give our heartfelt congratulations. They all hold up wrapped packages of different sizes. They're for Azuki. Naruto grins. Clothes, food, that kinda thing. You guys. Kakashi smiles under his mask. You shouldn't have. Ooh, what's this? Anko walks over and leans on the doorframe. Presents? I do love presents. The new parents accept the gifts with a lot of gratitude as each person goes through to hand over what they'd bought, some of them being from more than one person. When it comes to Ino's turn, she looks at Anko with slight concern. How are you feeling? Premature births tend to be painful. Oh, it was. Anko answers. It felt like I was gonna be ripped apart, it was so excruciating. I've never been in so much agony. She leans down with a sneer and licks her lips with an overly long tongue. It was the best I've ever felt. Ino steps back. Kakashi shakes his head. Don't tease them, Anko. She cackles in response. But they're so fun. Naruto steps up to his sensei, holding an item that's not wrapped up. An object recognizable to anyone but one that Kakashi knows exactly what it is. The white light chakra blade. You told me to give this to the next generation that can make use of it. Naruto unsheathes the blade, revealing the glistening white metal. So that's exactly what I'm doing. She resheathes the blade and hands it back to Kakashi. I look forward to what Azuki'll do with it. Kakashi receives the gift. Thank you, Naruto. I'll keep it safe for her. Iruka's residence. Practically the same scene transpires with Iruka and Shizune, except that Iruka is a touch more emotional, so seeing his students and their peers gathered in front of his home drove him to tears right away. They all go through to give their gifts and give their best wishes, which doesn't help Iruka with his attempts to stop crying. As a teacher, he should be putting a more dignified front for his students, but as a new father, this is too much for him to handle. His tears drive his students to tears as well, some showing less restraint than others. Surprisingly, Kiba is the one getting most emotional, maybe after Lee, but well, Lee is Lee. Thank you. Truly. Iruka sniffs and wipes away his tears. Thank you, sensei. Sakura hugs him as she gives them her gift. For everything. First Sasuke, now you all. Iruka smiles. Everyone raises a brow at the revelation, sharing confused looks. Sasuke? Sakura asks for elaboration. He was here, too, Shizune nods. Yesterday, actually. Left a gift of his own, apparently to Kakashi and Anko, too. Huh. I see. Sakura stares blankly. She invited him to join in their planning, yet it sounds like he preferred to do it himself. Was he avoiding everyone? Leave it to Sasuke to be a lone wolf. Naruto chuckles as he approaches Iruka, the last to give his gift. It's not neatly wrapped up like the rest since it's not from a store, so he removes the loose packaging to reveal the book. The Tale of the Utterly Gutsy Ninja. Iruka furrows a brow. Naruto, this is Master Jiraiya's book. Yeah. Naruto nods. I know it's not much, but. Iruka gently takes the book. No, it's more than enough. Thank you. Shizune smiles. We'll read it to her every night. About the brave hero Naruto who saved the world. Naruto smiles widely and begins to step back to give them room. As he does, Hinata prods his back and motions him to go back to them. He hesitates for a moment, but Hinata doesn't relent. Naruto grumbles and speaks up. "There's actually something else I wanted to talk to you about, in private." "Yes, of course. Come on in." Iruka welcomes them inside. "Then we'll leave you to it," Ino says, ushering the large group away. Naruto and Hinata enter, keeping quiet as can be, as to not disturb little Shohei. They get seated on the sofa as Shizuna prepares tea for their guests. They idly chat for a brief few minutes, asking about how the baby is doing, how they're managing their new lives as parents. It's definitely not easy, but even as they describe the hardships, the smiles on their faces and the shine in their eyes tells Naruto all he needs to know. Two of his dearest people really have found everything they need in life. "So, you said you wanted to talk about something specific?" Iruka brings up the initial reason for the visit, now that Shizuna is sat with them. "Ah, about that?" Naruto lets out a nervous laugh. "You know, in all this excitement I forgot what I was even gonna ask ya." Hinata sighs and pinches his arm. Naruto, "Ow, okay, fine, geez." Naruto grumbles. Iruka and Shizuna look on with great confusion. "So?" Naruto looks down at his knees, trying to muster the energy. "You know how like for engagement dinners, it's about the two families meeting and all that stuff, right?" "Yes, I know the gist of it. Mostly old tradition, why?" Iruka furrows an inquisitive brow. "Well, the thing is." Naruto takes a moment to swallow his heart back into its place, feeling like it'll jump out any moment. Hinata's presence next to him helps, but what he's about to ask isn't something to be asked lightly. "I wanted to ask, and it's fine if you say no, you know? I know it's, like, super busy right now, and there's Shohei. But," he inhales deeply, "would you come to the engagement party? As my father?" When Naruto's request is met by silence, his mind goes through regret and asking, remembering the fear he had of what he'd do if Iruka responded negatively. It's such a dumb thing to ask. Of course he'd say no. He's an actual father now, he has his own son. He doesn't have much of a reason to agree to play pretend like this. "Sorry," he whispers, the only volume he can muster right now. "Just forget about it, okay?" When he looks up, mentally preparing himself to leave, he sees that Iruka's silence wasn't a sign of rejection. The man just couldn't form words right now. Tears freely flow down his cheeks, showing no signs of stopping. Whenever he opens his mouth to try and say something, his throat gets stuck. Unable to get the words out, Iruka stands up and pulls Naruto into a tight hug. "Yes." He finally manages to wheeze out a single word response. Emotions overwhelm Naruto. He returns the hug, his own face also now an undignified mess of tears and snot. The feelings of loneliness and sadness that once had taken over his life are long gone. He has so many friends, a girlfriend, even a daughter. And now, the person dearest of his heart has agreed to his request. Rather, it's not just a simple request. It's a vow, an oath. Choosing your own family is not something done lightly. To ask that of someone and to accept that requires an unshakable bond. Both Hinata and Shizuna join the men in their crying, happy for them both. It's no secret to anyone how close these two are, and for them to be able to share this moment means everything to them. It takes a good few minutes before they can calm down. There were a few times when they did, but their emotions got the better of them. Now, they all sit, feeling oddly exhausted from just crying, even if it was a long time of it. "I don't know what to say, honestly." Iruka tries to calm himself. "I never would have expected any of this. You were one of the first people to believe in me, sensei. If it wasn't for you, I dunno how I would have ended up. Everything I have right now, I owe to you." He then turns to Shizuna. "And I know this is all sudden, but it'd be an honor if you come, too, Shizuna." "That's?" She blinks in visible surprise. "Naruto, I'd love to. I know I can't fill the same role as Iruka, but if you'd have us both." "Of course." Naruto grins back. "Since you're with Iruka-sensei, that means you're stuck with me." The group shares a merry laugh, feeling much more at ease. Hinata hooks Naruto's arm and smiles. "See? Nothing to worry about. I think I'll have to brush up on my etiquette." Iruka laughs. "If Lord Hiashi is going to sit opposite, I can't be lax about this." "You don't have to worry, Iruka-sensei." Hinata assures him. "Father's not as scary as he lets on." "Could have fooled me." Iruka chuckles. With that rollercoaster of emotions settled, Naruto and Hinata stay long enough to chat, with some of it consisting of Hinata telling them what's expected in a typical engagement dinner. It's not long after that Shohei wakes up. They say hello and play with him for a bit, but with it being feeding time for the newborn, they take their leave for the day, promising to keep in touch more until the day comes to make everything official. 1 week later. Saseki Restaurant. Saseki is an upper-class establishment within the Hidden Leaf that prides itself on top-quality service. The interior is a traditional layout consisting of dark wooden walls, lanterns giving off a golden light, hanging from the wooden beams that give the room a dull glow, creating a more serene atmosphere. Each room has its own table, behind the end of which are displayed beautiful kimonos behind glass cases. This place operates only with reservations. It would usually be a difficult task to get a private room on short notice, but when someone with enough influence calls, they have no choice but to move things around. And who is more influential than the Hokage herself? Right outside the room, Tsunade, dressed in much more official white kimono decorated with forest motifs of budding flowers and blooming trees, fawns over Naruto, dressed in a grey kimono. Who would have guessed you could look this handsome? She teases. Naruto grins. You think so? I do. Tsunade smiles and straightens his attire a bit and gets his spiky hair under control, or at least the most under control it can be gotten under. I'm proud of you, Naruto. You've come a long way from that loudmouth genin I met all those years ago. Yeah, now I'm a loudmouth jonin. He laughs, partly trying to lighten the more serious mood Tsunade is setting. Tsunade shakes her head. It's much more than that. You've matured, gotten some common sense through that head of yours. You listen and you think things through now. You're a man, through and through, Naruto. She kisses him on the forehead. And I'm glad I can be here for your special moment. Naruto gives an embarrassed smile. He scratches his cheeks, trying to hide the reddening he can feel from the warmth washing over him. Thanks, Granny. The two of them enter their designated room, where everyone else has already gathered. On one side is the Hyuga clan, Hiashi sitting at the end of the table. Next to him is, and next to her, his father. On the opposite side are Iruka at the end, and Shizune and Katori next to him. Tsunade goes to sit down next to Shizune. On the edge of the table, sitting by her father is Hinata. Her hair isn't overly different from how it usually is, but there's a certain shine to it that makes her look like a completely different person. Her light purple kimono adorned with lavender and pink colors is especially eye-catching, making his heart skip a beat when he sees her in it. He sits down by her side, with Iruka to his left, feeling woefully unprepared for all of this. Despite his worries, however, the dinner is much more relaxed than he was led to believe by Ino. Even though the Hyuga clan value tradition, Hiashi has been making it a point to grow closer to his daughters. The Hyuga elder seems to prefer things be done in a more traditional way, but Tsunade manages to keep him distracted with enough drinks. At the end of the night, Naruto and Hinata are officially engaged and begin a new chapter in their lives. End of chapter 54. Name meanings. Saseki equals golden age, height of prosperity. Chapter 55. Academy Days Part 14. Spread your wings. Kagatsu residence. 3 months later. To say that Gozu is a large man is an understatement. To say that he's absolutely massive is a bit more accurate. He's always had issues holding everyday objects, even something as basic as a doorknob or a cup. Everything just gets lost in his big hands. Today, what gets lost in his big hands are his two newborn, a boy and a girl. Twins. When just a couple of years ago, he'd have given up on the thought of having his own life, let alone his own family, he now has all of that, and then some. He's also a man who had most of his emotions beaten out of him. He learned early on to not show what he's feeling and to remain as stoic as the ground. Goran's more than familiar with his character and knows very well that he's not one to express him, but she knows that deep down he's a loving man. That's why it's somewhat weird to see him struggling right now, everything that he feels wanting to burst out, but he doesn't remember how to do it anymore. A part of him feels guilty that he doesn't express himself like a normal person should. After all, they're his kids. They need to know that their dad loves them, and for that, he has to show it. And yet he can't. Seeing his turmoil, Goran walks over to him and caresses his cheek. It'll be fine. She takes their daughter from his arms to hold her, freeing Gozu's arms a bit so he can breathe a little easier. We'll be fine. I didn't know they'd be this small. He stares down at their son. Honestly, I'm surprised, too. Goran laughs. With you as their dad, I thought they'd be way bigger. She sits down on the sofa, back next to Yukimaru, who practically glues himself to his adopted mom, admiring the tiny person. Hello, little one. Yukimaru coos at the girl. Welcome home. Opposite them, their extended family watches on with great joy in their eyes. Yui, having the experience, helped a lot during the whole process and prepared them as best she could for the magical moment and is currently in the process of fixing up some food for the whole extended family. Yakimaru is admittedly not really at home with kids. His adopted cousin took an immediate shine to them, so that's good. Maybe he'll get used to it, after all they're his cousins, his father's blood. They might have the crystal style, so he'd have to step up to teach them. Present are also Teuchi and Ayama, with Teuchi being in the kitchen alongside Yui, while Ayama walks over to the behemoth of a man known as Gozu to fawn over the baby boy. So, what are their names? Ayama looks between the two of them. Guren motions to their daughter. Her name's Byakuren, and his name's Gyuji. Such wonderful names. Ayama pokes the boy's nose. Hello Gyuji. She giggles as he grabs onto her finger with all the strength a newborn can muster. Yakimaru looks around at the full house of people and grins wide. Now our family's even bigger. That's right. Guren smiles. This also means I can continue your training proper. Huh? Yakimaru cocks his head. Shouldn't you be resting? That's right. Ayama reaffirms. Right now's an important time. You need to give yourself time to recover. Gozu nods. Lady Hokage said the same. You can't put even more stress on your body. Guren scoffs. When did you all become such worrowards? I know what my body can and can't handle. I can do with some training, anyway. But, Yukimaru looks at her, confused. Shouldn't we listen to the Hokage? She knows a lot, doesn't she? Guren pats him on the head. And we will. To an extent. Please rest. Yakimaru digs his fingers into his leg, voice trembling. Please don't overwork yourself. I can keep training on my own. Hey, it's fine. Guren slightly panics, seeing the distress in Yakimaru's eyes and hearing it in his voice. Yui places a comforting hand on her son's shoulder. No one's going anywhere, Yakimaru. She hands him a packed lunch and kisses him on the forehead. You'll be late for the academy. And we'll all be waiting for you to come back. Yeah. He smiles and takes his lunch, going to school. Before he leaves, he quickly stops by Guren to get a better look at little Byakuren. She giggles on seeing her cousin, which eases his mind a bit. Hidden Leaf Academy. Rise. Jiriki, as usual, alerts the class of their sensei's arrival. Tenten makes her way to her desk at the front of class, by the board. Bo. The class gives their respects to their sensei. All right, class. Tenten claps her hands with glee. It's time for a bit of a change in the school year. How many of you know of the medical training program? A few of the kids raise their hand, but Kashiwama goes one step beyond by standing up as he does. Tenten sighs. Yes, Kashiwama? No amount of warnings have slowed the boys' enthusiasm. It's a new curriculum put in place by the 5th Hokage to train medical ninjutsu at the academy to increase survivability on more dangerous missions. He answers as if reciting off a book. Exactly. Tenten nods. And now that you're of the right age and gotten better at the basics, it's time for you to enter the program, too. Shoto raises his hand and is acknowledged. Is it mandatory? No, it's not. We'd like everyone to give it a shot, since you never know who might be compatible with it, but if you don't see yourself as a medic or have no desire to be one, you can choose not to participate. One girl raises her hand. So, whoever trains for a medic will have extra classes. The whole class winces at the thought. No. Tenten reassures them. We'll split some classes in two. The medics will go train with medical ninja, and the rest of us will have other activities to keep us occupied. I won't lie to you, training to be a medic, even if only learning the basics, takes a lot of work. It's not going to be easy and you will have to train and study on your own. She looks over at the class, their faces showing a range of emotions, from uncertainty to confusion to eagerness. You don't have to decide your future right away. You can take something of a test run and see if it's for you. So, who wants to give it a shot? About a third of the class raised their hands. Some are still hesitating, and ones that showed interest before seem to have changed their minds. Of the one with their hands raised are Kashiwama, Yakimaru, and Katori. Tenten notes down all the ones who show an interest. Shoto leans over to Jiriki and Genzai on the next table. Not feeling up for it? Jiriki crosses his arms. I specialize in reconnaissance and taijutsu. I've other skills to offer. Medical ninjutsu would distract me from my actual role on a team. Nah, not really. Genzai shrugs. You? I guess I'm like Jiriki. I'm frontline and medics aren't. Katori nudges Yakimaru with an elbow. Surprised you want to try. He nods. Medics saved my mom, after all. If I can maybe return the favor by saving someone else. Katori grins. Admirable as always. Kashiwama pumps his fists. great-grandfather was said to be able to heal any injury, no matter how great. If I'm going to succeed him as a leader of the Senju clan, I can't aim for anything less. And he's as energetic as always. Katori laughs. Tenten writes down the final name and straightens herself. Alright, the first course will be tomorrow. For now, let's go do some target practice. Uzumaki Compound Training Ground. Thanks to the past revelation on how her abilities actually work, Katori can feel herself on the path of getting stronger. Now she more or less knows the how and the what of it, so it's only a matter of getting used to it. Right now, she has a guest over to help with one of her jutsu. Ino Yamanaka is here to help her share her mind with her sparrows. Kiba Inuzuka isn't here to help so much as to hang out with his girlfriend, although Akamaru is enjoying the wide space to run around in. The two girls are sitting on the grass with Katori sitting between Ino's legs, back turned against her. Ino has her hand on the young girl's head, using her mind-body transmission to share each other's senses. Right now, they're in a state of absolute quiet, their mind existing on a plane that exists only for them, away from any distractions. It's only Ino, Katori, and Katori's sparrows. Wow. Katori admires the jutsu. So this is what it's like. Yep. In here, we can focus on what's really important. If what Sasuke says is true, then you should already have an innate connection to your sparrows just like this. We just need to unlock it. So, will I be able to use this, too? Well, not quite. From what I'm sensing, it's like a weaker version that only works on your sparrows. Not even your other birds. Wonder why? Ino then leans forward to look at Katori with a big grin. If you want to learn this particular jutsu, you'll have to marry into the Yamanaka clan. How about it? I can get you on a date with some cute boys. Katori gives a hesitant laugh. I think I'll pass. Ino pouts and rests her chin on top of Katori's head. Shame. We would have made a good family. So, how's it work? Katori scratches her head. I've already sent a fragment of my mind to each of your sparrows. Because we're in here, you should be able to sense it and follow it like a thread from here. Katori blinks. That sounds complicated. It does take a lot of patience and practice. Ino brushes Katori's hair. But I know you'll get the hang of it. For the next few hours of training, Katori strains her mind. Ino's instructions do begin to make sense after a while after spending more time in this space of connected minds, but it's still far out of her expertise. Ino forcefully sends Katori's mind through the sparrows to help her get a feel of it, but it's still far too early for her to do it without help. Even when Ino releases the mind-body transmission to take a break, Katori continues trying to connect to her sparrows. Ino uses the break to walk over to her boyfriend, who's using his time to nap under a tree. She lies down and rests her head on his chest. Kiba cracks an eye open. Hey. Done with the training? Almost. You didn't have to wait here the whole time, though. I like watching you work. Kiba grins, although it'd be nice to actually have some time to ourselves, you know. I know, big guy, but we still have all day tomorrow. She pats his chest and leans closer to his ear. And all night. She giggles and stands up, making her way back to Katori. You tease. Kiba grumbles. Alright, Katori, how about you keep practicing on your own for now? You know the basics and you know the theory, you just have to get it to work for you. Okay. Katori hops to her feet and gives Ino a big hug. Thanks for helping. Ino's initial stunned reaction eases into a warm smile. How could I refuse? She returns the hug, petting the girl on the head. You keep at it, alright? I'll come by to help when you have more time. I'll keep training really hard. I'm already getting the hang of the ostrich's strength thanks to Sakura. Katori grins. But I still have a lot more to figure out. Just keep at it, alright? But before I go. Ino motions to the other side of the training area where members of the Uzumaki clan are hopping around like toads, accompanied by actual human-sized toads. What's that? Training, I think? Shorin Ryu Dojo. The rhythmic cries of the students fill the dojo as they do every day. Practicing the familiar kata that's been drilled into them by Idasuke and Asami and the rest of the Teshin instructors. The punches accompanied by solid stomping on the wooden floor as they shift their body, the kicks that swoosh through the air with great force, all of it creates both a loud and oddly calming atmosphere in how much their cries follow a set tempo. Shoto's already prepared early into the morning, so he's out to continue his training. Rock Lee told him of his own training schedule and personal challenges, which sounds overly extravagant to Shoto. He's still following those instructions, just to a more reasonable extent. After all, who could possibly go 1,000 laps around the village on their hands? It's crazy. Well, crazy for everyone but two very specific people. One of them is even approaching Shoto, apparently running in the opposite direction. Might Guy is running, if you can even call it that, on his hands, while perfectly balancing his wheelchair in the air using his legs. Good morning. Shoto greets the man. Ah. Young Shoto. Guy twists his head to look up at the boy. I see you're embracing the routine. That's good, very good, indeed. Keep training and you'll be well on your path to greatness. Thank you. Shoto nervously looks around at all the stares they're getting. Guy Shisho, why do you keep training like this if you're not on active duty? Why, you ask? Guy flips back and lands right in his wheelchair as if he was always sitting there. Well, here's a better question, my young friend, why would I stop? Shoto scratches his head. Because you've no reason to? Guy rubs his chin. The way I see it, I now have more reason than ever. You see, this form of training I do, it's never been about staying in shape for missions. It's been to help me grow as a person, to remind myself that pushing past my boundaries is how I become a better person than I was this morning. I may be in a wheelchair, but I am not bound to it. Do you understand? He flashes a bright grin. I think so? Shoto furrows a brow. I just see Lee Shisho push himself so much even though he's so busy. He even takes time to visit our dojo and spar. Is it the same for him? Lee and I do share a way of life and a vision of the future, however, I cannot speak for his motivations, only my own. Why, is something troubling you, young Shoto? The boy looks down. I've just been thinking lately if I'm doing enough. I feel like I'm running in place. I don't think I'm pushing my boundaries like said. The uncertainty of youth. Guy pats him on the shoulder. My boy, we each travel down this treacherous path called life at our own pace. When you get stuck in quicksand, you have to keep pulling yourself out until you eventually succeed. Even if you don't manage to, in the process you'll see something that can help you, like a stray vine or a branch that you can use, things you would have missed if you just let the quicksand run its course. I've actually heard quicksand isn't even really that dangerous. Shoto recalls reading something of the sort back in the Hidden Stone. It just gets a bad rep. Well, the point still stands. Guy waves him off. If you're still uncertain why you feel stuck, then find out why and with that knowledge, work on pushing past. Thank you, sir. I will. Shoto bows. Now if you'll excuse me, I must go meet my eternal rival. Guy rushes off in his wheelchair with surprising speed. Shoto looks in the direction he takes for a few moments more, watching the dust settle behind him. Find out the reason, might be easier said than done, but Might Guy is right that a problem first needs to be identified before it can get fixed. What exactly is the issue here? He studies well, he trains plenty with his teachers and his friends. Is he missing something? Maybe it's because he hasn't landed a solid punch to Jiriki's nose. Whatever the reason, Shoto decides to leave it for now and continue his running. Hidden Leaf Academy. The following day, the class is split in two just like Tenten-sensei told them about. As Katori looks around, there's a lot of faces she's unfamiliar with. There's some kids she recognizes from the other classes, but also some older and even some younger students. Seems to be a mishmash of different classes, all coming together for the same curriculum. Laid out on each of their desks are very noticeable scrolls with the exact same jutsu formula written on them. A circle decorates the middle, with scribbling swirling around it as if being sucked in and other writing written in straight lines like text. Katori and Yakimaru, as do a few of the rest, recognize this as a scroll of sealing, used mainly for transporting goods. A woman dressed in the medic uniform stands before the group wanting to train medical ninjutsu, a woman that some might recognize either visually or by descriptions they've heard. The woman that's ushering in change in the medical world is the head of the Hokage's program. Sakura Haruno. Katori can't help but give an enthusiastic wave, eager to learn. Sakura smiles in her direction but remains professional. She's here as an educator, after all. Hello, everyone. Sakura greets them with a warm smile. My name's Sakura Haruno and hopefully I'll be your teacher in medical ninjutsu for the foreseeable future. She uses her introductory speech to walk around the class, getting closer to the students as she goes between the benches. I'm sure you've been told that this is not going to be easy. Medical practice is a very important part of our shinobi world, but it can be difficult to master. I don't want that to discourage you, though. Your sensei have told me you're all bright and capable, so I have complete faith in you. One boy raises his hand. Sensei, what if it turns out we're not good at medical ninjutsu? He asks apprehensively. Sakura rustles the boy's hair as she passes by him. There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. Some people are really good at taijutsu or genjutsu, but that doesn't make them any lesser. It's perfectly fine if medical ninjutsu doesn't turn out to be your thing or if you just don't want to. You all need to focus on what makes you your own people and your own shinobi. She stands in front of the class and looks them over with a smile. I'm here to help you figure out if this is for you or not. Throughout all of this, Kashiwama has been rocking his chair left and right in anticipation. When he finally reaches the end of his somewhat limited patience, he shoots up to his feet. So when do we start? What do we do? Sakura laughs. Patience. She walks behind her desk and opens a scroll of her own, identical to the ones on the students' desks. Going through a set of seals, she slams her hand on her scroll, and a puff of smoke emerges from each and every one placed on the desks. When the smoke dies down, the kids see 2 glasses of milk and chocolate. Both of them have straws that both go into an empty glass. The kids look at the 3 glasses, then up to Sakura, then back to the glasses and then to Sakura again. The confusion on their faces is slightly amusing. When Kashiwama turns the straw to his mouth, ready to drink, Sakura immediately jumps in. Don't drink. These glasses will be to help with your chakra control. Kashiwama reluctantly puts the straw back. Yakimaru scratches his forehead. Are we supposed to heal the milk? Not quite. Sakura giggles at the thought. Medical ninjutsu is about delicate chakra control. Your task will be to focus your chakra on the tip of your hands and guide the milk and chocolate through the straw and mix them into the empty glass. You've already learned how to walk on trees, right? This is the more advanced version of that. It's a bit of an oversimplification, but it works for now. This exercise is weird. Sakura spends the class going over the process by explaining the theory and also showing them what it looks like when done by a pro. She goes over each individual desk and helps them depending on their level of comprehension and their progress in the task. Surprisingly for some, Kashiwama is actually a natural at it. He's not the first to finish it, that honor goes to some of the older kids, but he's among the first, after which he turns to Katori, expecting some praise, but she's far too focused on the task. She seems to be struggling with it, but the fierce determination in her eyes keeps him from offering any help. This is her battle and she's going to win, and he accepts her passion. Yakimaru is actually also doing well in keeping the liquid swirling against his palms as he guides them through the straw. There's a few times where his concentration breaks, but manages to get back into not long after. When Katori finally manages to guide her milk and chocolate through the straws, she leans back and groans. I can't feel my fingers. You were amazing, Katori. Kashiwama gives a thumbs up. You, too, Yakimaru. I didn't know you were this good. Neither did I, honestly. Yakimaru gives an anxious laugh. It was actually pretty fun. He grins. Sakura looks over the room and sees the final group of kids getting the last drop into the 3rd glass. All right. She claps her hands. The next part of the training will be. She pauses for dramatic effect and stands behind her own glass of chocolate milk. She cups the glass with both hands, swirling the mixed liquid within. 2 miniature whirlpools form, each drawing to it a differently colored drink. The milk and chocolate separate and Sakura guides them through the straws again, back to their original containers. To undo what you just did. A series of groans fill the room. What? How's that even possible? Oh, man, I barely got this far. This second part is much harder than the first. It requires a ton of concentration and delicate chakra control to pull the 2 liquids apart, and even more to keep them separate while sending them back through the straws. Even worse, if they mess up and get the wrong drink through the wrong straw, they have to use the first method to return it. The vast majority don't manage to get it on day 1, not even Kashiwama, who was so assured of his abilities. On day 2, they do actually manage to get it done. Some of them even practiced at home, determined to get it right. Katori, however, continues to struggle and is actually the last to get it. These test classes continue for a whole academy week, and there's some variety to them. Another test involves mending torn leaves from a succulent plant, flora known for its particularly thick leaves. They're nothing like what grows around the hidden leaf, but Katori and Yakimaru recognize them as resembling what they saw in the land of water and even the land of whirlpools when they visited briefly. As the days go by, even before the end of the week, some of the kids visibly slow down in their progress even with Sakura's guidance. However, none of them seem to call it quits, even though some of them visibly want to. No one really dares to say anything until Katori sighs and puts up her hands. Sakura-sensei. I'm sorry, I don't think I'm cut out for it. Sakura, glad to finally have someone speaking their mind, walks over to Katori. She brushes the girl's hair and gives her a comforting smile. That's perfectly all right. I told you all in the beginning There's no shame in not being able to do it. This doesn't make you any less shinobi. If medical ninjutsu isn't your strong point, then find out what is and work on it. One of my dearest friends can't use any ninjutsu or genjutsu, but he's still one of the most capable shinobi I've ever known, thanks to his taijutsu. So go find what will make you an amazing shinobi. Katori nods and hugs her sensei. Thanks, I know you have what it takes, Katori. Sakura pats her on the back. You can go back to Tenten sensei's class. Katori hops from her seat and gives Yakimaru and Kashiwama a high five. Good luck, you two. Before she can even leave, some of the other students stand up with her, finally getting the courage to admit defeat. Actually, Sakura is surprised how few leave the class. The program was only started some 2 years ago, so it still hasn't produced field-capable medics just yet, and there was a bit of uncertainty around it at first, since the students were unsure about it and saw it as a lot of effort. This bunch is so far the largest group to gather, so there's still hope that the numbers will steadily increase. Even if they're not full medics, as long as they can deliver first aid, that's a step in the right direction. Now that the group consists of only students who know what they're in for and they're ready to learn, Sakura can begin the classes proper. Kagatsu residence. Guren taps her fingers on the table in slight annoyance. She doesn't usually mind guests, she's had to entertain some during her stay here in an attempt to get better acquainted with the Hidden Leaf. She was recruited into their ranks, after all, so she had to play the part. However, the current group in front of her is an odd bunch, and she's not sure what to make of them. Given the people who are assembled, she can fathom a guess why they're here, and it might just be a good thing, since she has something to say to them. Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno, Tenten, and Rock Lee are currently gathered in her home and patiently sat around the table. I don't approve. Guren abruptly begins a conversation. Naruto looks around, confused. I haven't even said anything. Yakimaru's medical training. Guren clarifies. I heard about it from Yoi last night and I don't approve of it. Sakura raises a brow. From what he showed today, he has an aptitude for it, and his unique chakra might make him better suited than anyone else in class. That's right. Tenten chimes in. He's a smart lad and he's doing increasingly well in his studies and practice. And he said he's interested in it. What's there not to approve of? Guren sighs. It would eat too much of his time. The crystal style is a complex keke totem that requires a lot of training, and he's going to need all the time he can if he's going to be going on missions in 2 years. Medical ninjutsu is equally intense. If he has to practice both, he's going to end up mediocre in both, and I don't want him to be mediocre. Lee jumps from his seat. But surely with enough determination he can achieve his goals. If he's even partly as determined as young Shoto, then surely he can overcome this obstacle. It's not just a simple obstacle. Guren explains. It's an overwhelming amount of work. You've all fought against my crystal style, and you know how dangerous it is. She motions to Naruto. I even nearly killed your fiancé. If Yakimaru doesn't learn to properly control it, he could end up putting himself or his team in danger. I know how valuable a weapon the crystal style would be to the Hidden Leaf, so I doubt your Hokage would want that, too. Come on, Guren, you know that's not the case. Naruto defends his village. The people here don't see you or your jutsu as a weapon. Naruto vouched for you. Sakura looks Guren directly in the eyes. As long as he keeps vouching for you, Lady Tsunade will keep seeing you as a person worthy of trusting. Guren shrugs. Well, that doesn't change that learning both the crystal style and medical ninjutsu will be too much for him. Yakimaru stands by the door, holding one of the twins. He and Yukimaru were sent upstairs to look after the kids while the grown-ups talk, but curiosity got the better of him, especially when he's the topic of conversation. I still want to try. Yakimaru declares. Even if it's hard, I'll train twice as much to get it right. He looks down to the ground in his nervousness, afraid of being denied the opportunity. Tenten leans forward in her chair. As his teacher, it's my job to monitor his progress and make sure he's growing to his best potential. If it becomes too much for him, I promise I'll talk with him and with his family about it. Guren looks over to her anxious cousin. Just don't cry to me when it becomes too much. She sighs. I won't. He looks up with a wide smile. I promise. Now get lost. Guren shoos him away. You weren't even supposed to be here in the first place. Sorry? He gives a nervous laugh and runs back upstairs. That passion is what will drive the next generation to even greater heights than us. Lee cries tears of joy. I'm thankful we could clear all this for young Yakimaru. Lee gives a firm nod and stands up from his chair to head outside. Before he can get far, Tenten yanks him by the flak jacket and sits his butt back in his chair. Hold on. We haven't actually gotten to the main talking point. That's right. It had even slipped Sakura's mind for a moment. Why did you get us all together, Naruto? And why in my house? Guren asks. Well, I figured since you got Byakuren and Gyuji to take care of now, it'd be better to come to you than to drag you somewhere, you know? Naruto explains. I wanted to ask you guys about the kids. He looks at Guren and Lee. You two are mentoring Yakamaru and Shoto, then at Tenten and Sakura, and you're teaching their class at the academy now. I want to get back to training them since everything's calmed down and I need your opinions. I see. Tenten leans back in her chair. Anything specific you want to know about them, or just a general overview? Just how you think they're progressing? Any field they're lacking in or that kind of thing? Tenten rubs her chin. Well, from my point of view as an academy teacher, they're progressing more than well. Even though they entered the academy late, they've caught up fast. In terms of studying and practice, they have their basics well handled. My only real concern is that I can't really offer much help to Katori because of her unique jutsu. She gives an embarrassed smile. Yakamaru's ninjutsu is also unique, but at its core, it's still ninjutsu I can help with. For their medical training, Yakamaru actually showed good promise. Katori kind of struggled. I can't say right now whether or not medical ninjutsu's for her, but he seems to be taking to it. Sakura explains. Naruto turns to Guren. I know you said you're against it, but tell me what you think. Do you think Yakamaru get both crystal style and medical ninjutsu down? From what you've seen in his training? Guren sighs as she takes a moment to think. It'll be tough. He'll probably reach his breaking point a few times, but whether he manages to get past it, I don't know. She shrugs. Trust me, I'd like to give you a definite yes, but this is a big task. Naruto nods. Then I'll help him get there, no matter what. And how's Shoto doing? He is a most diligent student. You've trained him well and he's responding very well to my training as well. Lee gives a thumbs up. By graduation he will be stronger than I was, and I know he will continue to grow even further. Sakura laughs. I think that might be an exaggeration, Lee. You're not really someone that's easy to catch up to. I have the utmost faith in Shoto. I guess you'd know. Tenten nudges him with an elbow. Mr. Taijutsu specialist, already in charge of his own platoon ready to master the inner gates. That's actually what I wanted to ask you, Lee. Naruto looks him straight in his beady eyes with a serious expression. Do you think Shoto can master the 8 inner gate? Lee's expression flips completely, now just as serious. I do. He answers without hesitation. Whoa, hold on. Sakura slams the table as she stands up. The gates are way too dangerous for him right now. That's right. Tenten chimes in her outrage. There's too much risk involved. Naruto holds up his hands in defense. Hey, relax, I'm not saying he should open the gates right now. Just to get him started training so he can. Like, in the future. Lee furrows his bushy brows at Sakura and Tenten. Of course I wouldn't have him open them now. Do you think of me as that irresponsible? Guren looks between all of them. I'm assuming this is something dangerous? It is classified as a forbidden jutsu. Lee begins with enthusiasm to share his knowledge. However, I am currently in charge of training taijutsu users to allow them to more easily open the gates while lessening the harm. It releases the limiters on one's chakra, boosting their strength beyond what they can normally do. Tenten adds. I see. Guren nods. That does sound like a useful tool. But also very dangerous. That is where training comes in. Lee reassures them. If Shoto keeps his current regime then I know he can succeed. Then I'll be counting on you for that, Lee. Naruto says. Get him ready, best you can. In the meantime, I was hoping to get all your help with a training schedule for them. Of course. Sakura smiles. But I should hurry, I have to go over the other students' homes to talk about their medical training. Yeah, it shouldn't take long. The 5 of them spend the better part of an hour going over the 3 students' training. Time is allocated for their academy studies, for their own personal skill sets, and additional time for Yakamaru to train in medical ninjutsu. That does leave the young Kagatsu with more training than the other 2, but Naruto has an idea for that, too. After all, they themselves have an untapped potential that would serve them well in a fight. It's time for Naruto-sensei to get back in action. Name meanings. Byakuren Kagatsu equals white lotus or purity. In reference to Guren's name which means crimson lotus, and the symbolism around her in which a pure white lotus had been stained by blood. Gyuji Kagatsu equals Ark's ears. In reference to Gozu's name which means Ark's head. End of chapter 55.